It's Monday, April 13th, 2009. I'm Will, and you're watching Political Lunch. Welcome back to another week of the lunch. We start today with the most important news of the weekend, the presidential pooch. You may recall that on Friday, I noted that the Obamas had not yet made good on the campaign promise of a first pet for the first daughters once they were moved into the White House. Well, as if you needed more evidence that Political Lunch is indeed the most influential political webcast, on Saturday it was announced that the Obamas had made their selection. It's a Portuguese water dog, seen here, and the girls have named it Bo in what the Washington Post reports is an homage to First Lady Michelle Obama's father's nickname, Diddley. Now, we're glad to see that the president has come through on that one, and we wish them the best of luck with the White House breaking. On to real news now, pirates, which these days are very real news, and for the White House, the first real engagement with the scourge of the seas came off as a big win for the Obama administration. A ship captain was rescued and 3 of his pirate captors were killed yesterday after the president gave Navy snipers the green light to use deadly force if needed. It was a decisive end to a situation that the president characterized as not just high seas hijinks, but rather terrorism. In the words of ABC's Rick Klein, it just so happens that these terrorists like the water. It may have been a relatively small story, given the breadth and depth of our current national security concerns, but analysts today are not shy about using this somewhat minor incident as perhaps helping to dispel the notion that President Obama, a liberal Democrat who campaigned on a strongly anti-war platform, doesn't have the stomach to use the military resources that are now at his disposal. But before we get too excited about this one incident, the International Maritime Bureau would like to point out that the pirate problem is not likely to vanish overnight. Currently, there are at least a dozen ships and more than 200 crew members being held hostage by pirates around the globe. Next on the agenda today, transportation. After the White House Easter egg roll wrapped up this morning, the president and vice president made a quick trip to Kalamazoo, Michigan, to highlight the 2,000th transportation and infrastructure project funded by the federal stimulus spending package. $48.1 billion of that package has been set aside for building roads, bridges, mass transit systems, and the like. And today the president noted that the process of allocating and spending that money is actually ahead of schedule. That does not mean, however, that all is entirely well when it comes to the nation's infrastructure. In fact, today, 2 influential governors, California's Arnold Schwarzenegger and Pennsylvania's Ed Rendell, they sent a memo to President Obama urging him to take more direct action on preserving the nation's transportation infrastructure instead of just leaving those decisions up to Congress. Now, a 2009 report card by the American Society of Civil Engineers said that more than 1/4 of the nation's bridges were either structurally deficient or functionally obsolete. Now, the Obama administration had proposed the creation of an infrastructure bank to fund needed improvements, but the memo from the 2 governors today says the amount needed to fulfill all of our transportation obligations is some 10 times what the president has initially proposed. Now, we'll keep an eye on that situation, but finally today, news about another governor. Louisiana's Bobby Jindal, who was once considered his party's rising star, but a poorly executed response to the president's State of the Union address was thought to have possibly derailed that. Well, the news today is that he's writing a memoir about his life and career. Now, some are seeing that as a sign of renewed political aspirations, but once again, Jindal is already his own worst enemy. He told his hometown paper that the book shouldn't take up much of his time, as he'll be relying on his co-author to do most of the heavy lifting. Jindal's book will be published by Regnery Press. Their other authors include Newt Gingrich, Ann Coulter, and Chuck Norris. That'll do it for us today at Political Lunch. We have a great week ahead. We'll see you back here on Wednesday.